Hey guys, Chicago injury lawyer Scott DeSalvo here, and in today's video I'm going to tell you the story about the case that wouldn't settle. The case that wouldn't settle. So, represented this guy in a couple of cases, nice guy, referred me a friend, came to me a number of years ago, and then every time he has a fender bender or has any kind of car crash or injury, he comes to me, which I appreciate. It's very nice of him to do that, and I definitely appreciate it. But he had he's a tough guy, and he's a certain-minded guy. He wants what he wants, and he has an idea what's fair in his head, and that's what he wants, right? And he's not willing to bend too much, and I can respect that. I'm kind of that way myself. Past a certain point, I don't want to compromise, right? So we had a case. He had a case where he got rear-ended. There was not a lot of property damage. The damage to his vehicle, very minor damage in the photos. The damage to the other car, there was a little bit of damage, more damage than to his car, but the estimate for the repair was $650. So it turns out that even though the photo looked bad, all they had to do was pop the front bumper back on, and it didn't even need to get repainted. So the model of SUV or van that rear-ended him just had the front bumper wasn't clipped on very well. So they did it, and $650 worth of body damage and not a lot of photos. That doesn't make for a huge injury case. His treatment was also 60 days. So he hurt, you see in car crashes all the time, rear enders, people hurt their neck and their lower back due to whiplash, especially as we get older, especially if you have a physical job where you get arthritis, wear and tear on your neck and back. It's normal to have some neck pain and back pain after an accident. So, he went to the hospital. He followed up with a doctor. The doctor prescribed him therapy, but within 60 days, he was discharged, pretty close to pain free. And over the course of the next year, year and a half, no follow up, no medicine, no nothing, right? So, really, we're looking at what is more or less non permanent injuries that the treatment lasted for 60 days. So, we were dealing with one of those insurance companies. If you watch some of my other videos, you know that there are some good insurance companies. There are not, some not so good insurance companies. And this is one of those not so good insurance companies. And I knew it going in, and he knew it going in. And so I ran around the mulberry bush with these people about a thousand times. It's an exaggeration. But, this was a smaller case. The medical bills were smaller, liability was good, the force of impact and the car damage was not impressive. The medical treatment was, thankfully for my client, it wasn't a lot of medical treatment, and he got better pretty quick. So the medical bills were not that bad. So, initially the insurance company is doing what a lot of them are doing now. They offered less than the medical bills and said, oh, it's a low speed impact. We think the bills are too high, blah, 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 all the standard crap they say. And, what I'm doing now is I'm just messing with them. They'll say, well, according to our internal review, the medical bills should only be blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, well, that's funny because I did my own internal review, and then I tell them the medical bills should be twice as high. So, look, if they're going to pull numbers out of their butt, I'm going to pull the numbers out of my butt back to them. I'm at the point now where virtually anything an insurance adjuster says is just nonsense. I just don't really take it seriously. And usually, if you just keep pushing, there's more money on it. But on small cases, can I afford to do 20 phone calls to get a reasonable offer on these cases? When it's a small case, there's only so many hours in a day, and a lot of people need my help, right? That's why I have staff who help me out, call people back for me, help me do the legwork to get the medical bills and records together and stuff like that, right? All lawyers have people who help them I don't know of any lawyers who do everything themselves. You wouldn't be able to make a living doing it with all the administrative and procedural hurdles that these cases and claims have. But I digress, which I'm very good at. So basically, round and around we go. I call my guy. He's outraged by the offer. I explain to him what I always explain to people. You can't get offended by the fact that they're offering a low number right out of the gate. It's the car analogy, right? If you're trying to sell a car on a car lot, or you bring me a car to clean up and polish and repair and, armor all the inside and put tire dressing on the tires and put a nice coat of wax on the car so it's shiny so we can get max dollars for it. That's what I do. I polish up your case. I fix your case so that when the insurance company comes onto our car lot, we get top dollar for the car, right? But just like when you're haggling to buy a car, especially a used car, we want top dollar. The guy who's trying to buy the car, the insurance company trying to settle your case, they want the car for as little as possible. So let's say we know what we're hoping for is like 20,000. That's like if we got 20,000, we'd be so happy on this kind of case. Well, the insurance company comes in and offers 10. Why? Because what if we say yes? What if I'm a schmuck and I don't know what I'm doing? And what if you don't care? What if you don't care? You just want the case to be over and it's 10. Yeah, are you getting what you deserve? Are you getting as much as you can? No. But you have to let them shoot their shot, right? They're going to shoot their shot and try and get the $20,000 car that we want 20 for. You got to let them shoot their shot, right? And you can't get mad at them shooting their shot because they like their money. They want to keep their money. They want the car for as cheap as possible. We want as much as possible. So they're not going to get mad at us because we put a for sale sign in the window that says 20,000, and we're not going to get mad at them because they offer 10. And then what happens in these cases when we can resolve, when their 10 turns into 14, 15, 16 on a small case, then we start saying, all right, what can I realistically put in my client's pocket in this case, right? So that's how that works. Now, you might be like, well, wait a minute, man. Wait, if you want 20, hold to your guns. Just go all the way in. Just fight. Don't ever compromise with an insurance company. There's a problem with that, right? Here's the problem. I got to evaluate realistically the facts of the case. So if you got a rear ender, that's good. A rear ender is rarely your fault or even partially your fault, right? So if somebody rear ends you, it's their fault. But if the property damage doesn't show a big hit and they give you an x-ray on your neck and back and it doesn't show anything wrong at all, the only thing it shows is some arthritis. It doesn't show anything on the x-ray that, that corroborates the fact that you sustained an injury. That means this is just a muscle and soft tissue injury, which is fine. Those are painful. They require treatment. It's perfectly fine. But, my client, super honest guy. He did his 60 days of treatment. He got better and better as it went, as things went along. And then by the end of it, he felt fine. They discharged him after 60 days. So this is what I told him when we were talking about it. Imagine you're on a jury and you hear the story of a guy who's got some arthritis in his neck and back already. And he gets rear-ended, goes to the hospital to get checked out. The doctors say nothing serious is wrong. They don't even prescribe him any pain medicine. He follows up with his doctor. His doctor prescribes him some therapy, checks in with him halfway through. He's doing good. His pain levels are down, but he's not quite where he needs to be. Does another month of therapy and gets discharged with minimal to no complaints at the end, and he never goes back to the doctor. So we're looking at 2 months of medical treatment. How much money for pain and suffering and disability is a jury going to give a guy for a 60-day neck and back injury with no objective injury? Like no herniated disc, no broken bone, no vertebrae out of alignment, no loss of the natural curve called lordosis, the natural curve of the spine. When there's a loss of that curve, it means the person's having muscle spasms. So what is it worth? And we're not talking about 10 out of 10 pain. We're not talking about narcotic pain medicine being prescribed. We're not talking about inpatient in the hospital. We're talking about, two sessions, maybe 3 sessions of physical therapy for 60 days. So what is that worth a month? Is a jury going to give $1,000 a month for the pain and suffering? Is the jury going to give $2,000 or $3,000 for pain and suffering for 2 months? What are they going to give? Let's say they give $4,000. Well, the reality is it costs $500, $500 to $700 usually to file a lawsuit and get service on the defendants. And in order to prove the case, I have to call a doctor as a witness. And realistically, the cost to do that these days is somewhere between, $3,000 and $5,000. So if we say that $4,000 or $4,000 or $5,000 in case costs are what will be minimally required for us to get to trial, and then when we get to trial, there's no such thing as guaranteed money. You can have the cleanest case in the world, and you can go in there with $10,000 in medical bills, and the jury could just say, yeah, we're going to give you $5,000 total, you figure it out. And if you think I'm kidding, let me tell you how I know that. I've been doing this a long time. There's a lot of judges younger than me over at the Daly Center now, and they're happy to talk to you about it. They're happy to explain it, and that's been the case for a long time. There were several judges over at the courthouse who kept books of, like, this is what the medical specials were, this is what the wage loss is, this is what the jury gave them. And the judge would pull out his book and say, listen, you might be a better plaintiff's lawyer than these other guys who tried this case, but look at the last 30 jury trials on a rear-ender car accident. And how many of these? 3 of them beat the medical bills in a verdict. Out of the last 20, 8 of them were not guilties on rear-enders. And, the rest of them are some small amount above the medical bills. And so what I'm saying is, and I don't know if the numbers are getting too confusing, if we can go to court and get you 20, but I got to spend $5,000 or $6,000 to get you 20, that's like, let's say it's 5, that's like getting 15 right now. And you don't have to wait 2 years, and then there's no uncertainty. If we go to trial, it's completely uncertain. But what is certain, I can tell you, you're never going to get a runaway verdict on 60 days of medical care. You're just not going to. Because the jury is going to look at that and they say, we're not going to give a guy who was only hurt for 2 months $1 million. We're not going to give him $500,000. We're not going to give him $100,000. Jurors take their responsibility very seriously, and none of them want to overpay, and none of them want to get tricked by a slick injury lawyer and overpay people. They want to pay what's fair, and unfortunately, on a smaller case, it's hard to get a jury to understand what it's like. Now, of course, if it was happening to them, they would think it was worth $100,000. But that's just the way it's going over at the courthouse these days. And it's been that way for a long time. I've said it in some of my other videos. It's actually harder to get a fair outcome on a smaller case than it is on a bigger one, because insurance companies settle cases based on fear. And they're just not afraid of 60 days of treatment and a low-speed rear-ender. So I got this guy, I explained all this to him, and I thought for sure it was going to be a case that would never settle. And I must have done a pretty good job of explaining, because he agreed. I told him, look, at these numbers that we have on your case, I can put between $4,000 and $5,000 in your pocket. It's tax-free. The medical bills are going to be paid. The case will be over. No uncertainty, guaranteed money in your pocket right now. And if we go to trial, all you're doing is buying uncertainty. In other words, you're holding out for $18,000 or $20,000. I've got them at their top, and it's a number where I can put 4 or 5 grand in your pocket. And he agreed. And so the case that would not settle, or that I thought would not settle, did settle. So I was glad, and I told him the same thing I'll tell you. It was the right decision by him, and it's a case that we got settled, shortly after the 1 year mark of his injury, because his course of treatment was very low, and we actually sent the demand letter, got its entire case together, and got a demand letter out months ago, 4 months ago, and just I had to let the insurance company sit before they realized we weren't going to take that crappy first offer. I called them and called them and called them initially, and they didn't want to come up. And she's like, "This is all the money I've got." And you know, once they called me back and I realized they were being more reasonable, I got them to go up 3 times. And finally, the lady is just like, "Look, I'm overpaying on this. I don't want to get in trouble. Blah 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 blah." But I feel pretty confident that I know when we're pretty much at the end of the road. So he made the right decision because he's going to get guaranteed in money in his pocket right now. The medical bill's paid, and now he doesn't have this thing hanging over his head. He doesn't have to come down for a deposition. He doesn't have to come down and answer discovery, into written discovery. He doesn't have to come to an arbitration. He doesn't have to come to a trial. And they always say there's many a slip twixt a cup and a lip, meaning even something as simple as picking up a coffee or teacup and taking a sip, you can spill on yourself for reasons that are unforeseeable. So my point is, you think you have a slam dunk case, but 2 years of deadlines and recorded statements, depositions, sworn testimony, you got a problem. One screw up can, negatively affect the value of the case. So I told him he made the right decision, and he did make the right decision. So the case that I thought would never settle did. So good for my guy for being reasonable. He's a nice guy. It was the right decision. If it's a bigger case and they're not being reasonable, let's go to trial. But on a case where we know our upside in front of a jury is maybe a couple $1,000s, it's the upside in front of the jury is about the same as the amount of money it's going to take me to cost us to take the case to trial. That money is going to come out of the client's pocket, and then he's going to wait 2 years for it. So anyway, that's that, and that's that. Thanks for watching. I really do appreciate you watching. So please give the video a thumbs up and check out my YouTube channel, where I have over 300 injury explainer videos like this one. And please consider subscribing and hitting the bell icon so that you know when I release a new video. If you or anyone you know, or you want to refer me a case, you can call 312-500-4500. That's 312-500-4500. Free call. You can call any day of the week, weekends included, any time of day. Morning, afternoon, evening, middle of the night, 3 a.m., doesn't matter. Somebody trained by me to ask you the right questions picks up that phone no matter what time you call, and then they text me and email me your info so I can call you back at a time that's good for you. I do it that way because I'm usually so busy during the day that I can't pick up the phone. So it's the best way to do it. Sometimes people get upset that they call and they pick up the phone and it's not me. But, I get a lot of phone calls from people and I have to have help. But the people you'll talk to are trained by me. So what else? Sometimes people aren't ready to talk to a lawyer, and that's cool. I have you covered. I built 2 really cool calculators. One is called the Good Case Calculator. It tells you whether you have a good case or whether you might have a case with some challenges. The other one is called the Case Cash Calculator. It tells you what the settlement value of your case might be. Cool part is, links in the description. Both of these tools are on my website. Both of them are completely free and no obligation. They give you custom information on your situation in 20 seconds flat. All you do is answer 7 or 8 multiple choice questions off the top of your head. You don't got to go look at your paperwork. Off the top of your head, 10 or 20 seconds later, you have custom information about your particular situation for free, 20 seconds flat, no obligation, links in the description. And let me tell you, I am getting a ton of people thanking me and complimenting me on these tools because I built them myself. I didn't hire a developer, I didn't buy them from somebody. These are tools I built myself for you so that you can get custom information about your particular injury situation without talking to a lawyer. So check them out. Lots of people like them. Links in the description. Finally, if you enjoy my videos, the free information I give, the tools, my injury cheat sheet, my book and DVD, all the stuff I offer for free to help injured people avoid falling into insurance company traps, there's a little favor you can do for me, and I'd really appreciate it. I need as many 5-star reviews on Google as I can get. Link in the description. All you do is go to that web page on your phone, tablet, or computer. Takes you right to the page. Click 5 stars, say a kind word, hit submit. 5 or 10 seconds of work for you. Invaluable favor to me that I truly appreciate and I will never forget. So if you don't mind doing it, please do so. If you don't feel right about it, then don't do it. It's okay. We're still friends. I still have hundreds of videos, and you can still subscribe. And if you or anyone you know needs a lawyer or has a question about an injury case, give me a call, 312-500-4500. Thanks so much for watching. I hope you and the family are well. Any questions or problems, you give me a holler, okay? Thanks. Have a great day. Bye-bye.